Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Hey, happy football season. Football starts this week. My Patriots are going to have a terrible year, so maybe I'll be jumping on other bandwagons. And speaking of things that aren't working out, I hate to say it like that, Jason Tartick announced his breakup with Kaitlyn Bristowe several weeks ago. It was a joint breakup. We like them both. They're both good people, great business people, good personalities, beautiful, successful, all these things. And yet it doesn't always work out. And now we're looking at the reasons why. And again, not to point any fingers, because when you point one finger at you, if we'll go back at me or whatever, right? But Jason does hint that he was dumped. He says this: when you love someone and they let you go, you have to pick yourself up. Now, he could have just been speaking in sort of vague terms. But what actually went down? Could it have been that he was dumped because he was dragging his feet about getting married? Could it have been that they broke up and he's just jockeying himself to play the victim? I don't think that's the case, but we're going to listen to what he has to say, right? And he also gets advice from Ben Higgins, which was, don't do Dancing with the Stars. It's not good for your relationship. And I don't know if that's because there's strong men dancing around in sequins, a lot of gyrating happening, or if it's the time or adversity spent. We know with Rachel Recchia and Tino, she had a hard time, obviously, with the adversity of being the Bachelorette, all the spotlights on you. How do you possibly have a normal relationship from that? We're going to get all to it right now. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals for stand-up show updates and clips. I'm also on TikTok at the same name, at DNeals on TikTok. I've been posting a lot of TikToks over there. I think I posted like 7 this week, so go check those out. Patreon.com/Dave Neal for behind-the-scenes bonus content. I'm going to tell you this once and only once. Now is the time to join Patreon. Well, I'll tell you every day, but I'm telling you right now, we're going to have a lot of new live streams coming. I actually convinced my wife, Tasha, to do a weekly live stream with us. We'll probably start that when we get back from our trip. I'm going to my brother's wedding this week. But if you like extra content and want to join the live stream with Tasha, we'll be talking fashion. Of course, she's a model and works in the fit and fashion industry. So she's actually helped design my mom's dress for my brother's wedding. So we'll have all of that information on the Patreon if you want behind-the-scenes extra content. And also every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. All right, let's get into it. I have 3 clips I'm going to play for you. Here's the first of 3.
ABC is notorious in the best way ever for supporting a lot of their leads to do cool things, to do other shows. We just saw Charity. She's going on Dancing with the Stars. Kaitlyn went on Dancing with the Stars and won. Like, it's really awesome that they do that. I'm assuming this was an ABC show. And were there any other opportunities presented to you?
It was an ABC show.
It was an ABC show.
It was an ABC show. And I never got asked to do anything else.
Okay.
So
now, people always tell me, Dave, why do you comment on the audio? Well, I do it because it's a way to help others. And I'm not criticizing Jason Tartick because it looks like they actually rented out this studio space. I'd be pissed. I'd want my money back because whenever he talks above a certain level, you can hear it peaking, and this is not good. It's not horrible, but you'll hear when they kind of go above a certain level, it kind of clips and it gets scratchy. And that just means that the audio engineer needs to do a better job.
Oh, that was never an offer, never on the table for me.
His sounds good.
There was probably a period of time where I could have pushed for that, but I talked to Sean Lowe, and Sean Lowe had told me, hey, if you can at any level not do Dancing with the Stars, it's going to be better for your relationship.
Wow.
It's really hard on a relationship. There's a lot of time, and if you're having any issues post-show, do your best to not go on that show.
All right, Charity, ball's in your court. Be careful out there. Dancing with the Stars, not good for your relationship.
Even if your relationship is ironclad and you are the strongest person in the world and you have no form of insecurities, which is impossible, we all do, that show will beat your relationship up.
Yeah.
100%.
It just does, right?
It absolutely does.
That was the advice that was
100%.
given to me. And we were struggling, trying to work through stuff, and we'd have really great times and really hard times. And I think both of us had said, hey, that's not for us. Right?
Yeah.
Now, don't forget here, I'm still working at Talasys. I have not left my job yet.
This is all insane. Okay,
Yeah,
politician, Talasys, Bachelor. Now you're filming the show, 100K each. You got the rent. What happens with the show?
The show airs on Freeform, ABC Family.
Give me a time frame before Nick is announced as a Bachelor.
All right, so that's his show he did with his then fiance. It didn't work out. Obviously, Jason was supporting Kaitlyn Bristowe during her Dancing with the Stars journey, and he says it's really tough. Now, do I think that's the reason they broke up? Not at all. But we've seen time and again couples that don't make it past literally week 3 of doing the Paso Doble because it's a big time commitment. And look, I'm one of those people. If your relationship can't survive Dancing with the Stars, take that as a litmus test. It wasn't going to work out because Dancing with the Stars is a great lifetime event to do. And if you didn't do it, to try to make the relationship work. Could you imagine the fights then? Oh, we're fighting about this because I should have just done Dancing with the Stars. I could have been dancing with Val Tremakovsky. We could have been doing the Paso Doble, that could have been the Vienna Waltz, and instead I'm over here bickering with you. You know what I mean? It's a no-win. I say, do Dancing with the Stars. If you survive it, you'll be stronger for it. All right, here's Ben Higgins with his breakup advice that clearly is touching Jason's heart. And then afterwards, we'll play the audio of Jason talking about getting dumped.
Mm-hmm.
They go from being fans of Ben and Lauren to then fans of Lauren or fans of Ben.
Mm-hmm.
And that one wasn't healthy for Lauren or myself. That was a really hard time, I think, to process through. But then obviously your following becomes a little more critical. They make a lot more assumptions. You're viewed in a different light. They start questioning your intentions for going on the show and your relationship off the show. And some of those intentions that they questioned were fair. I look back today, I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I said yes to that. Well, I think I do. It was the money and it was the opportunity.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it did stall the momentum and it changed my identity. I went from being on The Bachelor to being in a healthy relationship for a period of time to then being single again.
Yeah.
And that, I think, changed my identity drastically. And I wasn't necessarily ready to be single again. I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Knowing what you know now, asking as a friend here, but is there anything you would have done differently or any advice you'd give knowing the impact it had on all the areas of your life as someone who's like in the middle of it all?
Yeah. I think I can only speak to my experience, which was coming in a relationship with a really great person. I'd always viewed Lauren that way. I still view her that way. And so this was for the most part, a healthy relationship that went wrong. Two people with the best intentions.
I don't know why the camera's focused on Jason here. It's very interesting.
Just didn't work out. And so for me, I look back on that and I wish I would have held on to resentment for a shorter period of time. I wish I would have quickly, because we still had a good relationship in the day. I haven't talked to her in years. I wish I would have gotten to a place where I wanted to heal any wounds that were left out there, because we didn't. We just parted ways and never really healed the things that were said at the end or the things that were done at the end. I look back now as a married man and I'm like, it doesn't feel good to have past relationships that were healthy. Again, I'm speaking from a healthy relationship, and then not ever have that closure. It doesn't feel good. And then I wish, and I didn't really until I met Jessica, quite honestly, which was years later. I wish I would have found a way to heal personally, but also found a way to think and view and speak of Lauren in a way that was more uplifting and less of a burden and less heavy on my heart.
Yeah.
Because I carried this weight of fear of, one, would I run into her at an event? Was somebody going to ask me about her in an interview? This was a very raw and real time for me. I wish I would have gotten to a place where I would have confidently said, hey, we didn't work out, but I care about this person.
Yeah.
And I would have.
So he's saying he led with a lot of resentment after the relationship, which is fair and good on him. And look, someone the other day thought I had some beef with Ben Higgins. I personally don't love their podcast, but I think if he did his own podcast, he's got a lot of retrospective sort of nature with how the relationship ended and being in the public eye. I think that's all good stuff here. I think he's got a good voice and a good knack for doing podcasts. He's got like a nice soothing energy here. I just personally have a gripe against those Zoom podcasts that could have been done in studio here. But yeah, he's got great advice about overcoming the bitterness.
Known that she would have felt the same way if that's how she felt. But I think everybody heals differently. It takes different lengths of time for people to heal, especially from relationships that are real and raw and meaningful.
Yeah.
And I just wish I could have found a space to view it in a better light, because really I didn't for years.
Yeah. A lot of that hit home. I'm going to go to the next topic. Otherwise, I might hit me home. So let's go back down the professional world. Thank you for sharing that. It all landed. I heard you. I see you. I feel.
So Jason, in the sweetest way here, is so protective of not crossing that line where he makes it about him, that he looks down, he goes, I hear you, it landed. I'm gonna digest this later, but I have to get through this. The consummate professional. Now, in relationships, people handle things differently. Kaitlyn Bristowe was out in Italy over the weekend going to an F1 event, I believe, and now she's hanging out with her dad back at home. So, like, she's going to go cope with it by going out with some girlfriends. And Jason's doing the same. He was on a guy's trip. So, it's just because they're not wearing their heart on their sleeve doesn't mean they're not completely crushed by this. It's never one person blindly dumped the other. If the relationship didn't work out and Jason wanted it to, what could have been done differently in the last several years to lead up to the point where it does work out? Did Kaitlyn, and again, maybe some X-Files music here because maybe I'm just stepping out of line here. Did Kaitlyn finally put her foot down and say, enough is enough? I would have married you in a courthouse. I would have married you in a backyard. I would have married you here or there or wherever. And we couldn't even get a date set. I got my exes all having babies right now. Enough is enough. Let's do this now or let's not do it at all. And maybe Jason hesitated and she said, all right, that's it. Kaputs, we're done. I don't know, folks. I don't know. We're just speculating kindly here from a distance. All right, so
feel you, and I'll let that digest after because I don't want to go down a road that'll take Trading Secrets in a whole different direction.
Doesn't want to go down that road, but here he is. So he does an intro that's not on YouTube, that is just to his audience, which I really love. I think it's a very personal way to start his podcast, because an interview is very voyeuristic. We're watching or listening to someone else have a conversation, but here he's talking directly to us. Here's what he has to say about the breakup.
Can't get into my new house, so I'm like a nomad. Been staying at friends' houses, been staying at hotels, family members. It's actually been a really good time to reconnect with family and the foundation of friends that mean the most to me and that have helped me through this tough time. Like it's every day is getting better, which is good. In the healing process, I think it just works in all kinds of steps, and it works in steps to get what inevitably, hopefully, will be acceptance. I'm still working towards that, getting there. It's just tough, it's really, really challenging. And I've said it before, but when you love someone and they let you go, and you have to just pick yourself up. You have to navigate. You have to find your confidence again. You have to fill your tank again. You have to grow as a human and then navigate the directions of life. And with so many moving parts as location and career and family and time and age, it adds a lot to it. And it's funny because I'm like, this is a podcast about careers and money. I'm like finding myself going back reading, as weird as this is, the book that I wrote, The Restart Roadmap, because I feel like, well, professionally, everything is in its own lane and moving really well. It's the personal stuff that I'm wondering, what's best for me? Where do I go? And how does that impact the professional stuff, which is a great segue into this podcast. So a little bit about me. Please remember, give us 5 stars. We have...
All right. Very interesting stuff there. As we have in this clip, he says, when you love someone and they let you go, you have to pick yourself up. Does that mean he's playing the victim? No, not necessarily. But, you can have everything in the world. You can have your business taking off, but when the love that you want isn't there or is no longer there, that's a hurdle he's going to have to get over, and we'll keep talking about it as long as they talk about it. We'll talk about it because it's fascinating. They're one of the biggest couples in Bachelor Nation. Look out, Charity. Enjoy Dancing with the Stars. Dotton, be careful out there. All right, we'll have more content coming to you guys right after this. And don't forget, this afternoon, a Bachelor Rush Hour podcast. You're going to want to listen to what I have to say. We'll talk to you later.